Hello, hello. Welcome to one more series of our Awaken Your Spiritual Neurons Empire. Today is our eighth of 21 day challenges. And today I am happy to share with you a very with you, which is pretty much the connection of all the previous series. Sorry, the previous series. My Spanish today is a little bit awkward, but apologies for that. So, one of the things that we're going to do today, based on the analysis that you guys did yesterday, remember I asked you to fill in some of the questions based on getting the awareness and the consciousness of your habits, your situations, your dilemmas, your environment, um, and getting aware of everything that is going within and around you. So, today, what we're going to do is literally, I'm going to share with you how to become greater than your toxic emotions. Okay. And literally, what we're going to talk about is how to attack um, the chemistry that has been produced in your body and in your brain because of the many years of stress, right? That your whatever situation and your habits have produced along, your experience of life. This is pretty much the deepening or the diving into starting a transformational process. And remember that when we talk about transformation, uh, we mentioned something very important right from the beginning. Transformation takes time. It is not like from one day to the other one that you're going to transform. All right. So whoever is actually telling you or selling you the idea that you are going to change from one day to the other one, it's really lying to you because it doesn't happen. And I'm telling you that not only from my own personal experience, but from experience on other people that I've seen, right? So transformation really it takes effort. Okay, so what we're going to talk about today is how do you make those efforts possible so you can actually start shifting, right, from the old habits that you have or the old behaviors or anything that you want to change in your life, right? How do you actually transform, right, from the old to the new? And I think that something that I want to explain to you is what I call uh, the cycle of the addictive emotions. Because at the end of the day, remember that everything that causes you pain, anger, fear, or whatever, right? It's of course the production of an emotion that has been repressed because of an experience that happened recently or in the past. And what happens is that the body, right, and the brain, they start liberating a series of chemical reactions, right? It's not only electrical signal but also chemical substances, right, that they become repetitive because the organism understands, right, that those chemical reactions, right, are part of your molecular system. And once your body and precisely your mind start to, let's say, live in constant conflict between releasing some substances like dopamine, which is the pleasure, let's say, neurotransmitter. It starts to get into a conflict, and that's when our mind starts fighting between, what's good and what is not so good. So we start having all these reactions between, releasing boosts of dopamine, and at the same time your body is releasing through uh, the adrenal gland cortisol and adrenaline, which are known as the stress hormones. So imagine the conflict that you are creating in your body between those two uh, important chemical substances, right? And magnified that happening to you since you had an issue or since you start repeating a habit. What you're actually doing is you're feeding, right, a chemical reaction that makes you repeat over and over and over again, not only the habit, but at the same time to be in constant organic conflict. So the cycle of the addictive emotion is basically when you have a situation or you have a dilemma, right? What's happening is that you are, of course, um, trying to manifest at the same time an emotion. And sometimes they are emotions that they're not easily understood. What happens with any type of emotion, call it anger, call it fear, call it hate, call it guilt, whatever, right? It creates stress. And we have to be aware of the fact that stress is something that 90% of the population today lives under stress. We talked a little bit about in the previous series that 1 out of 5 Americans are somehow today living in some sort of emotional or even mental distress, and they're actually depending on some sort of either medication or in the consumption of any boost dopamine or any addictive substance, right? So because of the stress, what happens? The body produces cortisol, it produces adrenaline that goes into your blood flow, and it not only gets into your brain, but at the same time, it flows around your whole body and your whole organs, right? So that's what uh, all these chemical reactions, cortisol and adrenaline, right? If they are repeated, over and over, and they're overproduced, what's happening with our organs inside, what's happening with our molecular structure is that it starts working and functioning at a very high and overproductive speeds. So imagine if you have been living in stress for the last 3, 5, 10, even 20 years. So imagine what's happening to your organism. Imagine just what's happening in your brain, right? Everything that we have discussed so far, I'm just making a parenthesis. I'm looking at both cameras because I'm still, recording in Instagram, and at the same time, I'm recording in YouTube. So going back again, uh, when when we started this series, right? Uh, I gave you a reference pretty much of all the opportunities and everything that your brain has the power to do. But in order for you to get there, right, you need to shift your old habits, your old ways of thinking and feeling, right? And you have to go through the process of transforming not only the emotional part of the dilemma that you have, but you also have to shift and transform, right? your chemical structure, right? And this is something that at a neuroscience level, it's of course something that has been tested and has been studied in brain labs for many years. Today there are several universities that do actually work on you know experiments, and at the same time, theses that are really proving that the change of old habits into new healthy habits, one of them, for instance, just being the fact of meditating, it brings extremely high benefits, right, to your overall health. And we're talking about your mental health, your emotional, your spiritual, and even your physical health. So not only meditation, but also nutrition, good sleep, right? Those are habits that gradually are going to start shifting the chemistry of your organism. And let's say they're going to transform your cell structure, or your cellular structure, and your molecular structure into something much more meaningful, and of course healthy. At the end of the day, everybody wants to um, feel good, be happy, be productive, right? But if you have had passed through processes that have not been as healthy as they should be, right? You have to start doing the work of transforming yourself. And that's basically what we're talking about, right? So, everything, again, when in the cycle of the addictive emotion, when your body and your brain has been affected, and they're actually and constantly producing all this toxic chemistry, which is released in the form of peptides, which is the chemical term, and at the same time, other heavy neurotransmitters. Remember that the brain produces more than 50 types of neurotransmitters, and some of them they are overproduced because of the heavy dense enzymes that the body releases because of stress. There is this conflict between uh, good chemicals and toxic chemicals. And what is actually happening is that you're creating a conflict between the peptides and the wellness chemicals that are happening in your brain. This is something that I experienced when I stopped smoking after 30 years. And it was 30 years of, of putting nicotine in my body. So when I stopped, what I was actually fighting was, the wellness chemicals versus the chemicals that were in my body, and also the emotion that was hidden behind the fact of smoking, because there's always let's say an addictive reason. There is a cause why you run away from your issues, and you start actually either consuming drugs or consuming sex or pornography or smoking or anything that relates to an addiction, right? So, what is actually happening in that conflict is that your brain is over functioning, your organism is over functioning. And guess what happens at the end of the day, right? Your organism becomes ill. Not only your organism, but with the time, all of your stem cells, they get um, overproduce, and of course, the energy that every cell supposed to release, it comes to a point that the cells are no longer productive. They lose the energy and they end up dying, right? So in that way, our aging process actually gets faster. And that's the way, probably the easiest way for you to, to end up your life. So if up until this point you have become conscious, you have bring to your conscience, and you are willing to shift your consciousness of the past, which is or has been an altered state of consciousness, that has not been positive or has not been what you're actually looking for, right? Now is the time that we're going to start shifting that level of consciousness into a greater level of consciousness, something much more healthier, and not only healthier, but at the same time, it's going to improve your longevity. It's going to actually bring you to the essence of what being human is, right? Or having the experience of being human. And of course, there is transcendent in terms of energy, in terms of spirituality, let's say, which is that process of shifting from the old to the new. Um, Something that I worked years ago when I first started talking about the brain, I came up with, um, let's say, a method, okay, a step by step. And this is step by step is something that I actually described in much more detail in the book that I am writing, Awaken Your Spiritual Neurons Empire, in which I uh, literally use the word attack in Spanish or in Portuguese, right? Which it means really atacar. So I use uh, the six letters of this word as an ATACAR, okay? Atacar, which it means attack, right? So this method that I'm going to share with you, basically, uh, what I'm what I'm looking for in this is to attack the toxicity that is in our mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual states because of the stress that we have caused over the years, because of the situations, because of the conditioned beliefs that actually affect our way of living, right? So I want you to take the notebook that you have, and I want you to write the word atacar, one letter in each line from the top to the bottom, right? A means acceptance. T means take responsibility. The second A means analyze. Then the C is conscious awareness. And then the third A is for acknowledge learning. And then R means resignify. That is the word atacar in Spanish, and in English it means attack. Okay, so what we're going to do is you're going to take again that specific situation that you're working to shift or to transform literally. What you're going to do is, first of all, take that situation, right, and write in the first letter, which is acceptance. What you want to do is, I want you to think about that situation and make it part, put yourself into that situation. Somehow, you know, you lived that situation, that it generated a memory, it generated an emotion, right? So it is part of you, right? It is actually causing you pain, or is it causing you struggle? You need to accept that situation as part of your person, right? Yes or no. Once you have accepted that, you need to take away all of the feelings of what you're going to do to solve that situation. What is it that you're going to do, right, to move forward, to make the shift? And for that, you have to, sit with yourself and make sure that you're not only accepting that part of your life, right, but also that you are willing to do something about it. That is taking responsibility. Okay. Taking responsibility sometimes means that you might need to look for help. Sometimes it means that you need to actually um, look for a coach, look for a counselor, a therapist, a psychologist, anybody who is actually professionally certified, right, to help you make those changes. Okay. Hopefully, a person who has been already in the process of uh, transforming its own dilemmas, right? And somehow has to be able to help you, right? So taking a lot of the situations, sometimes you're not going to be able to solve by yourself. Process. But again, and believe me, that was my personal reality. Sometimes, in order to, now the part of taking responsibility continues with originated the conflict or the situation. So that's why you need to analyze. That is the second A on the word atacar. You need to sit with yourself or with the person who is helping you, thoughts, but with a sense of rational thinking, understand and analyze what possible benefits does that situation bring to your life today. If you are not going um, through a good phase, right? Also analyze what in the first place caused the repressed emotion, or what it might be that you passed through a situation in which your parents conditioned you to believe that situation started in the first place. And of course, analyze, they didn't know what they were doing either, right? So that is part of your responsibility, to accept the fact that they are human, be able, right, which is C for conscious. It happened because of the ignorance of other people, or sometimes it happened because of your own ignorance, right? That's the process, right? You start learning to give others, and that's when you become aware that your situation is a situation that it can be changed, right? But for that, you need to gain the awareness. So while I am for every single level taking responsibility, or how are you going to take responsibility, what kind of help are you going to look for, right? Um, you are going to write possible thoughts, some of the thoughts that come to your mind that help you analyze better the situation, right? Also, write positive words understanding from this situation, because that actually brings you to the in which you're going to write what is the lesson that you're learning. Okay, so you are acknowledging learning. What are you learning from the situation that you are passing through, or the behavior that you want to change? You are willing to put into practice in order to shift, to attack that emotion, right? You want to accept it, you want to work, right? So you're going to take responsibility to do something. You're going to make a conscious, aware decision, right? Not only to analyze, but at the same time to be aware. Maybe it's affecting your health. Maybe it's affecting um, um, any some sort of organic illness, right? So your dilemma or anything has been caused. This is something that is very important, and I'm talking with all of my heart. This might sound something like cold, but right, you need. This is a process of healing the soul, healing the mind, healing the emotion, right? So you can heal your body and you can also heal. Okay, you want to, again, you want to acknowledge what are the lessons that you are being. You're going to be able to resignify. You're going to be able to live better states of life, which is called atacar. If you want more details, please make sure that you get a copy of Awaken your blessed day. Today is Monday, of course. So have a blessed week, and I hope to see you on the next series, and in which we're going to continue with this process, right? But make sure that this specific method that I am sharing with you, that you can put it into practice. Okay, this is something that I've done for years, and that's why I came with this and my own issues, which there are more detail, of course, in the book. Uh, and I'm pretty wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next series.